Let me speak to you directly. Most men think they know what wins in love, that patience, effort, and loyalty will eventually make her see their worth. But here's the truth most never face. You don't earn respect by giving more. You earn it by knowing when to stop giving altogether. When a woman doesn't truly value you, the moment that shakes her isn't your anger, your silence, or your absence. It's when you outgrow her. When she sees that your focus is no longer on convincing her, but on improving yourself, something inside her shifts. That's when she realizes she's no longer the center of your universe. And that realization cuts deeper than any argument ever could. This isn't about revenge. It's not about showing her what she lost. It's about becoming the man she never thought you could be. The man who no longer needs to explain, chase, or prove anything. Because the real victory isn't winning her back. It's looking in the mirror and finally respecting the man looking back. Stay with me, because in this video, we're breaking down how walking away, growing stronger, and staying calm become the loudest answers you'll ever give. Welcome to Charismand, where growth is quiet, power is calm, and your evolution speaks for itself. Let me tell you something that most men never realize until it's too late. When something is always available, it loses its value. That includes you. You see, you're not just another man. You're someone with depth, purpose, and quiet strength, even if the world or a woman has made you doubt it. But when you make yourself too available, too ready, too eager, you send a message that weakens your presence. I have nothing better going on. That's not true of you, but that's how it looks. And perception creates reality. Every time you drop everything to respond instantly, every time you cancel your plans just to be there for someone who doesn't even meet you halfway, you chip away at your own gravity. You start teaching people to take you for granted, not because you're not valuable, but because your value has no mystery left. And here's the paradox. You think your constant presence will make her feel secure, but what it really does is make her feel nothing at all. Because longing, the thing that fuels desire, is born in distance, not in presence. Think about it. When she already knows exactly where you are, when she can predict your every reaction, when you're always a call away, where's the thrill? Where's the chase? There's no curiosity left. Curiosity is oxygen to attraction. Without it, the flame dies slowly, quietly, and inevitably. You don't have to be cold. You just have to be rare. A man of value isn't always available. He's busy building something, doing something, being something. He doesn't disappear out of pettiness, he disappears into purpose. And that's what makes people crave his presence. Because every moment with him feels earned, not given. Now let's talk about boundaries. Most people think boundaries are about rejection. They're not. They're about respect. A boundary says, I value my time. I protect my peace. I don't give my energy to everyone. That's not arrogance. That's elegance. And when you live with that kind of self-respect, people start adjusting to your standard. Think about the men you admire, the calm ones, the grounded ones. They don't say yes to everything. They don't respond to every message. They don't explain every move. They understand this truth. Not everyone deserves access. When you start saying no to things that drain you, you'll notice something magical. People start treating your yes like it means something again. It's simple psychology. Scarcity breeds value. When something must be earned, it's appreciated. When something's always available, it becomes background noise. So next time she texts and you're in the middle of your work, finish your work. Next time she calls while you're training, finish your set. Next time she pulls away, don't chase her. Let her feel what distance from a real man feels like. She'll notice. Trust me, she will. Now, let's go deeper. There's a dangerous illusion many good men fall into, mistaking fear of loss for loyalty. You think you're being loving when you never walk away, when you keep showing up even when she's cold. But if you're honest with yourself, sometimes it's not love that keeps you there, it's fear. Fear of being alone, fear of starting over, fear that you'll never find someone who sees your worth. But tell me, how can someone see your worth when you've already given it away for free? True loyalty doesn't come from fear. It comes from strength. A strong man stays loyal because he chooses to, not because he's too afraid to leave. He gives, but never at the cost of his self-respect. He loves, but never from desperation. And here's the truth most men ignore. If you give without balance, it stops being love and starts being submission. Because love, real love, is like an investment. Both people contribute. Both people grow. If you keep pouring and she keeps taking, eventually, the account empties. Not because you ran out of love, but because you ran out of self-respect. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your heart, especially not someone who treats it like it's replaceable. Now let's talk about what happens when you finally stop overgiving. At first, it'll feel strange, quiet, almost uncomfortable, because you've spent so long proving your worth through action, through attention, through presence. But when you stop, when you pull back, something shifts in the dynamic. Suddenly, she feels something she didn't expect, the loss of your energy. That absence will speak louder than any argument ever could. She'll start to wonder, where did he go? Who has his focus now? Why isn't he chasing me anymore? That's not manipulation. That's balance. You're not punishing her. You're simply letting life show her the cost of what she took for granted. See, feelings come and go. Dynamics are what shape behavior. And when the dynamic changes, when you stop giving more than you receive, she has to face herself. It's almost poetic, isn't it? The very moment you stop begging to be valued is the moment you start becoming valuable again. Because you're no longer teaching her how to treat you. You're reminding her what it feels like to lose you. And that's when something powerful happens inside you too. You begin to feel calm, clear, grounded. You stop chasing peace and start becoming it. From that place, you no longer worry about who texts back or who doesn't. You stop counting how much effort you've given. You stop waiting to be chosen. Because you realize the prize was never their approval. The prize was your self-respect. Listen, you're not here to prove your worth through endless effort. You're here to build a life so full, so rich, so centered that anyone who gets to be part of it understands. It's a privilege, not a guarantee. And when you embody that truth, everything changes. Your silence becomes strength. Your time becomes sacred. Your energy becomes rare. And the more rare you become, the more the world starts to respect your presence. So stop explaining your worth. Stop begging to be seen. Demonstrate it. Live it. Let your absence be felt, not your explanations be heard. Because respect isn't earned through sacrifice, it's born from scarcity. When you stop giving everything away, you stop being taken for granted. You don't lose love, you regain admiration, and that's the first quiet step toward being valued again. Not as someone desperate to please, but as a man whose energy commands attention without demanding it. You don't have to chase her anymore. Just become so focused, so purposeful, so peaceful, that she has no choice but to feel your absence and remember what it felt like when she had your presence. That's not a game, that's gravity. And you, my friend, were meant to move with gravity. Silence speaks louder than words. Let me tell you something powerful, my friend. There will come a time when words stop working, when no matter how many times you explain yourself, defend yourself, or try to prove your worth, it just doesn't reach her anymore. And that's when you realize something deeper. Silence speaks louder than anything you could ever say, because silence isn't empty. It's loaded. It carries meaning, weight, and energy. It's not a void, it's a mirror. When you go silent, you force the other person to face their own behavior without your words cushioning the truth. When you don't react, you stop giving them something to twist or attack. And that's when everything changes, not just between you and her, but within you. Most men think the way to be understood is to talk more, to reason, to justify, to fix. But every time you do that with someone who doesn't value you, you're handing them proof that they still control your emotions, that they can pull you into chaos anytime they want. And once they see that, the respect fades, not because you're wrong, but because you're still reachable. You see, silence removes fuel. Disrespect, drama, manipulation, they all need your reaction to survive. Take that away, and suddenly the fire dies out. Silence is not about ignoring her. It's about protecting your peace. You're not pretending she doesn't exist. You're just refusing to feed what drains you. And that's a power most men never learn to use, because silence is not weakness. It's emotional intelligence in its purest form. It's the art of saying, I could respond, but I choose peace instead. When you stay silent, she starts to feel something she didn't expect. The echo of your absence, the quiet weight of not having your energy available on demand. No more debates, no more explanations, no more chasing closure, just silence. And silence forces reflection. When you stop reacting, you remove her ability to deflect. She can't say you overreacted. She can't accuse you of being too emotional. All she has left is the truth, her own actions staring back at her. That's what silence does. It reflects, not rejects. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about allowing the truth to reveal itself. And when that truth finally hits, it hits harder than any argument ever could. You see, when someone disrespects your energy and you meet that with silence, it unsettles them. Because now they can't predict you, they can't read you, they can't manipulate what they can't measure. And deep down, that unpredictability commands respect. Because silence means discipline, and discipline is rare. Let's be honest, it's not easy to stay quiet when you're hurt. It's not easy to hold your words when your pride is bleeding. But that's exactly why silence carries power. Because it takes self-mastery to do what everyone else avoids, to stay calm when your ego wants to explode. You're not ignoring her. You're elevating yourself. You're saying, I'm no longer willing to fight for recognition. I know who I am. And when a man gets to that place, when his peace becomes more valuable than being right, his entire presence changes. People can feel it. His voice lowers, his eyes sharpen, his energy settles. He no longer argues, he observes, he no longer reacts, he decides. And that quiet confidence, it speaks louder than shouting ever could. Here's the truth. Silence builds discipline. It trains you to choose reflection over reaction. It helps you see the difference between what deserves your attention and what only wants your reaction. And when you start mastering that difference, your life feels lighter. Because you stop wasting energy on people who thrive on chaos. You stop trying to prove your worth to those who already made up their mind. You stop lowering your standards just to be understood. You start valuing your peace more than their approval. That's what silence does. It shifts your focus back to yourself. The energy you once spent arguing starts building something new, clarity. And clarity is priceless. In silence, you finally hear the voice that matters, your own. You realize that not every situation needs fixing, not every person deserves access, and not every battle is worth your energy. You learn that walking away with dignity says more about your strength than any speech ever could. Because silence protects your dignity. It keeps you from becoming the man who begs to be seen. It keeps you from explaining your worth to people who never valued it in the first place. And here's the part that surprises most men. Silence doesn't disconnect you from others. It reconnects you to yourself. It gives you space to breathe, to think, to rebuild. It transforms pain into perspective. When you go quiet, the noise of the world fades, and suddenly your intuition starts speaking again. You remember what matters. You remember who you are. You remember that peace isn't something you chase. It's something you protect. That's why silence is so uncomfortable for others, because it reveals your growth. It shows that you're no longer the man who needs validation. You're the man who creates value through calm. And when she finally realizes that, when she sees that her words no longer shake you, that her attention no longer defines you, that's when she feels it, the sting of irrelevance. Not because you tried to hurt her, but because you proved she no longer has access to your emotions. That's what hurts the most. Not your anger, not your words, but your indifference. Your peace becomes the loudest statement of all. Let me paint this picture for you. She texts something cold, expecting a reaction. You don't reply. She posts something provocative, hoping to get under your skin. You don't bite. She reaches out days later, just to see if you're still available. And all she gets is calm silence. That's when it hits her. The version of you who used to chase, explain, and plead no longer exists. You've evolved. And that evolution can't be undone. That's why silence isn't about playing games. It's about demonstrating self-respect. It's not about punishing her. It's about proving to yourself that you can walk away with peace, not bitterness. You're not losing anyone. You're regaining yourself. You're reminding the world and yourself that your energy is sacred. Not everyone deserves to have it. And that's the beauty of this transformation. You stop being reactive and you start being radiant. You no longer chase connection. You attract it, because your silence now carries authority, not anger. So let this sink in deeply. Your silence is not a weakness. It's a boundary. It's your way of saying, I respect myself too much to keep repeating the same conversation. Let your silence teach what your words never could. Let your calm reveal what your anger used to hide. And let your peace become the reminder that you were always enough, even when someone else couldn't see it. Because at the end of the day, silence doesn't end connection. It reveals truth. And the truth is, a man who knows how to stay silent when disrespected doesn't lose power. He becomes the power. You don't have to shout to be heard anymore. You don't have to fight to be understood. You only have to master one thing, the art of quiet confidence. And when you do, the world listens, even when you say nothing. There's a moment in every man's life when he finally understands arguing won't change anything. No speech, no message, no act of love will make someone value what they already decided to overlook. And when you reach that moment of clarity, something powerful happens. You stop arguing with her. You start outgrowing her. Because the real victory isn't proving your point. It's becoming the man she no longer has the privilege to argue with. Let's be real, my friend. Most men waste months, sometimes years, trying to make someone see their worth. They explain, they fix, they plead. They tell themselves, if I just show her how loyal I am, she'll finally understand. But here's the hard truth, she won't. Not until you stop trying to make her. People don't see your value when you keep handing it to them. They see it when you take it back. Outgrowing her doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop shrinking. It means you stop lowering your standards to be understood by someone who was never listening in the first place. You see, waiting for her to come around is like waiting for rain in a drought. It keeps you hopeful but never brings growth. And every day you wait, you lose a little more of yourself. So let's talk about the difference between chasing and evolving. Chasing says, please see my worth. Evolving says, you'll see it when I'm gone. That's the quiet confidence of a man who's done explaining himself. He no longer reacts to rejection, he redirects it. Because when you grow, you change the conversation, not with words, but with results. When you start leveling up, something subtle happens. The same people who once dismissed you begin to pay attention. They notice the glow, the focus, the calm in your eyes. They start wondering what happened to him. Here's the secret. They lost access to your energy. And when your energy shifts, everything else follows. Growth is the most undeniable form of revenge, not the loud kind, not the look at me now kind, but the quiet transformation that makes people realize they underestimated you. Think about it. When you're busy building, you don't have time to argue. When you're focused on your goals, you stop explaining. When you're working on yourself, you stop waiting for her to change. You begin to see clearly that the real problem was never her lack of appreciation. It was your lack of boundaries. Because truthfully, she wasn't holding you back. You were holding yourself back by staying in a place that no longer matched your potential. Outgrowing her means accepting that not everyone can meet you where you're headed. Some people were only meant to be lessons, not destinations. It's not cruel, it's evolution. Now let's go deeper. Every man who's ever been undervalued goes through a stage where he confuses pain with loyalty. He tells himself, real men stay no matter what. But that's not strength. That's fear disguised as commitment. The truth is, real strength isn't about staying. It's about knowing when to walk away. Because walking away doesn't mean you gave up. It means you finally recognized your worth. Let's call it what it is. Waiting for her to change is self-betrayal. While you wait, your goals fade, your edge dulls, your spark dims, and she feels it too, because nothing is less attractive than a man who stopped growing. That's why the moment you start improving yourself again, everything shifts. Hit the gym not for revenge, but for respect. Read, learn, travel, not to prove a point, but to expand your world beyond her. Get back to the mission that used to make you feel alive before you met her. When you do that, the power dynamic flips naturally. She feels the distance, not because you pushed her away, but because you started moving forward. And that's what truly hurts her pride, your progress without her presence. Now, don't misunderstand this. Outgrowing her isn't about becoming cold or arrogant. It's about alignment. It's about realizing that the man you're becoming no longer fits the role she kept you in. She knew you as the man who chased, who explained, who compromised. But that version of you doesn't exist anymore. You've become the man who chooses peace over conflict, the man who spends his energy building instead of begging, the man who no longer looks for closure, because his growth is the closure. And when you reach that stage, you stop asking, why didn't she value me? And start asking, why did I stay so long where I wasn't? That question changes everything, because the moment you take accountability, you take back power, she can't hurt you anymore. Not because she stopped trying, but because you stopped participating. Let me be honest with you. The world doesn't reward the man who waits to be chosen. It rewards the man who keeps moving forward, no matter who chooses him or not. When you outgrow her, you stop chasing validation and start chasing growth. You realize that your energy is your currency and you've been spending it in the wrong places. Now you're investing it in yourself, in your body, in your craft, in your peace. And when you do that, something magnetic happens. Your presence changes. You walk differently, you talk slower, you stop proving and start embodying. People feel it. They respect it. Even she feels it. The silence that once confused her now commands her attention. The absence she took for granted now feels heavy, because when you grow, you remind her she didn't lose you because you weren't enough. She lost you because you evolved beyond what she could handle. That's the kind of realization that doesn't hit instantly. It lingers. It grows over time. And one day, when she scrolls through her memories and sees your name, she'll remember the man who once gave her everything and realize that he became everything she wanted after she let him go. But by then, you'll be long gone. Outgrowing her isn't about making her regret losing you. It's about reaching a version of yourself that doesn't even need her regret to feel whole. Because your growth isn't about the past. It's about your future. You're not proving her wrong, you're proving yourself right. The best revenge isn't showing her what she missed. It's looking in the mirror and realizing you finally became the man you were always meant to be. So let me challenge you man to man. Stop arguing with people who can't see your worth. Stop waiting for apologies that will never come. Stop hoping they'll suddenly wake up and understand. Start building the life that makes explanations unnecessary. Start becoming so grounded, so at peace, so focused that her opinion no longer carries weight. Because when you outgrow her, you don't lose her. You lose the version of yourself who needed her. And that, right there, is real freedom. Outgrowing her doesn't hurt. Staying the same does. And once you realize that, you'll never look back again. So move forward with calm confidence. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to keep growing, keep walking, keep building. Because the day you stop chasing her and start investing in yourself, you stop being the man who's waiting and become the man who's winning. And that, my friend, is when everything changes. Before you leave, take a moment to breathe this in. Growth isn't loud. It's quiet, steady, and deeply personal. The kind of transformation that doesn't need validation because it speaks for itself. If this message resonated with you, it's because you're not just watching, you're awakening. You're remembering what real self-respect feels like. And that's only the beginning. Subscribe to Charisma for more videos that help you master presence, rebuild confidence, and create the kind of calm power that draws respect without words. In the next videos, we'll dive deeper into how to rebuild your inner foundation, how to command attention through energy, not effort, how to walk away without losing yourself. Don't stop here. Keep growing. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and join thousands of men on the path back to their quiet strength. Because this isn't the end, it's where your transformation begins.